hypotheticals you would get.
Yeah.
Dave?
You're going to play in Brazil? David Moore, Dallas Morning News. Josh Allen, just your thoughts on him and the difficulties he poses.
I mean, he's a dynamic football player. I think, the way he plays the position, he reminds me of a young Brett Favre, just the temperament and the ability to throw the ball to any quadrant in the field. He's very aggressive running the ball. I mean, you have to treat him like, you have to treat him as a running back when he gets out there because, he's not looking to go down or go out of bounds and, those types of things. But very impactful football player.
And when you have a player like him who has such an upside and is willing to take some risks and has had a prolonged stretch of turnovers, do you try to feed into that early, or can you get off your game trying too much to force?
No, I just think we got to play our game and stay focused on, what we do every time we line up, and when we have opportunities to take the ball away, we got to convert. But he's very, very aggressive player. It's good. It's definitely, it could be a 60 plus minute football game. And they're never out of it when he has the ball in his hand.
Clarence Hill, Fort Worth Star-Telegram. Tyler Smith has had some unique challenges with different defensive tackles this year. Certainly he held his own. Just talk about the challenge of Oliver and what he presents for you guys up front and Tyler.
Yeah, we've been very impressed with their whole defense. I think Oliver is that, the three technique, very disruptive player. We're just watching short yards and goal line earlier, and just, some of the things with the cadence up there on the road. He's definitely has our attention.
And Tyler, the way he's...
Tyler and Zach, based off which way we line up. So, he's a dynamic three technique, so it'll be a big challenge for both Tyler and Zach.
Mike Toddar's with ESPN. You guys haven't had a lot of opportunities, special teams-wise, forward turns or anything like that. When you go up there, whether it be cold, do you anticipate more opportunities? Do you do more in practice to simulate any of that?
I think so. It's only natural. I think it's a common outlook when you play outside, especially in November, December. You should get more opportunities. We're looking at this as a night game. I don't know what time it gets dark up there, but it can't be much after 4 o'clock. So, and I think with that, the wind and all those things is what we're focusing on. Because the ball definitely is different outdoors in that type of climate.
Saad Yusuf, The Athletic. Mike, in the season opener, Jake Ferguson had a couple of drops. Peyton Hendershot had one. Dak kind of always said that he trusted the guy that's going to come back to him, and now you're kind of seeing what Ferguson has kind of become. How important is that to have from your quarterback when a young player does go through those growing pains?
Well, you can't get to where we are right now, and obviously you're not going to ever get to where you really want to go. So I think when you go back and you look at some of those plays, and number one, we're in the red zone. And those are the type of throws that you have to have in the spots with your tight end group. It was definitely not something that we're going to try one week and not try the next. So I think it was just a matter where we were coming out of camp, and I think like a number of things, we're doing a lot of the little things much better today than we were in September.
Those things that Dak does, the little things like fist pumping all his players in the huddle before a drive, do those things go a long way over the course of a season and things like that?
I think it's just really an illustration of the connection, in how he operates. It's just. He's. I'm thinking of all the quarterbacks I coach. He's clearly sets the record for fist bumps. So.
What's the previous record?
He's way above it. So.
Garrett Podell, CBS Sports. Mike Dak has thrown multiple touchdowns in 7 straight first halves. What's been the key to that early success in games, and how do you keep that going?
I think the biggest thing, getting into a rhythm. I think his pace and his ability to distribute the football. I think that's, if you look at the ball distribution, it's been critical. I don't know if we've been under 8 players. I think it's been 8 or more players. Almost every game. So I think that's really important, especially early. So, I think it's. This game is all about opportunities, and you're only going to get tougher as we move forward. So, when you get up and I think we've done a good job, not punting very often and maximizing our opportunities with the number of series we had in the game. We're not, concerned about going 10, 12, 13 play drives, and I think that speaks to his discipline and his patience.
Sarah.
Sarah Merrifield, CBS Sports Texas. After Brandon Aubrey's performance on Sunday and obviously this season, how essential is a guy like that and what he's been able to do so far?
Oh no, he's generates points. I mean, he's and what he's done is it's historical, and I think that just like anything, I love his story. I think it's what an incredible story. But he's an extremely talented kicker, and you could see the talent right away in training camp. But his performance level is just really, so impressive. But if you just see him work, he's the same person every day. Very diligent. Really, the whole operation of all three of those guys, and I think that plays into. I think any kicker would tell you the importance of a healthy relationship with the punter and the snapper. So. But yeah, he's just in a great groove, and I think not only does he know that we have confidence in him, I think everybody in Cowboy Nation has confidence in him.
Pat.
Hey, Coach. Patrick Walker, Dallas Cowboys. Two-part question. First would be any updates on Jonathan Hankins' possible availability versus the Bills?
Yeah, Jonathan he'll be hard pressed to go this week. So I saw him earlier. So he will not work today. So yeah, that's all I got for him right now.
In the potential absence of Jonathan Hankins, can you talk about what you've seen in the progression of Mozzie Smith and also Carl Davis on the practice squad?
Yeah, I think both guys are good young players. Mozzie keeps getting better with each and every opportunity. You can just see the confidence and the understanding, and this is all normal for rookies. He's not thinking about the calls and so forth. Carl's done a really good job since he's been here too. So probably. Big opportunity for both these guys.
Dave.
Mike, it's you've called plays for so many years in your career, but there was the gap going into this season. Was it like riding a bike as far as calling it, or did it take you a few games to kind of get back into the flow and just the feel that you had before when you were calling?
No, I wouldn't say it's like riding a bike, because I think there was a number of different factors. I think if you're fortunate enough to call plays with just one quarterback for a long period of time. I mean, there's things that are done that you just 8, 9, 10 years. So and then the other part of that too is it's a new staff. So everybody's call sheets put together differently. And I think when you're running an offense in this league, I just know as long as I've done it, and the staffs that I was on as an assistant coach, if the play caller is not going to call, it doesn't go on the call sheet. So it's just also now getting into the game planning, the process of getting on the call sheet, and the most important part is the relationship with the quarterback, and that takes time. So and I just give Dak a lot of credit, and but also I didn't just show up here in April. So I've been able to be in the quarterback room the last couple of years, 3 years prior to that. So there was a relationship and an understanding of how he prepares, how he looks at things, and then we went through the changes together. So I think that was helpful in us getting started. Didn't play in the preseason. I was a little nervous about that, but I think after we got past probably the third or fourth week, I thought we really hit our stride.
And when you're calling plays, is there any feel to it at all, or is it just process, or if that makes sense? I mean, you're so focused on the process and sequencing that you don't have a feel for how it feels maybe different than when you called it when you're in Green Bay.
Oh, no, I think it's all the above. I mean, I think there's process in putting the play call sheet together. I mean, Tuesday night looks a certain way. Wednesday night looks a certain way. Thursday is really getting ready for your final review and meeting with the quarterback and the offense coordinator, and then Friday is really, and Saturday and even Sunday mornings about getting ready to beat the defensive coordinator. So I mean, there's definitely a process. Sequencing is something that you have to do before the game, during the game, leads you into that. So I think it's all those variables that go into play calling, and there's definitely a feel and understanding what the other guy's thinking, and how you anticipate he's going to perform, and then obviously staying in touch with your coaches, the network of communication, and make sure everybody has their eye discipline in the right place, and the information that you need is voiced in the right timely period. And the communication network was probably the biggest thing that I think I had to get used to, because you just have different personalities on a headset today than you did 4 or 5 years ago. So I mean, it's all those variables that are part of being successful, in my opinion.
Louis.
Louis Scruggs, NBC5. Can you speak to the roles of Brian Schottenheimer, Scott Tolzien, last year in different spots, this year they're there, and your comfortability there?
You talking about what they did last year?
Yeah, they had their different roles.
Yeah, I mean, Brian was a consultant last year, so he did all the forecasting for both. Well, really just Dan, and some for Kellen, but which was a great opportunity for him because he loved it. But man, just to have that quality of input, from that position was really good for us. And then Scott Tolzien was the number 3 in the quarterback room. So now. And things are different, obviously, Brian's the offensive coordinator. So, I mean, he's the lead as far as, making sure the job responsibilities and distribution of how the workload capacities needs to continue to move through the week. And Scott's, he's the lead quarterback voice, as far as the everyday, so. Is that what you look for? I'm not sure what you're.
How is that, them being in those roles last year made you comfortable putting them in the roles this year and what you've been able to get from them?
Yeah, definitely. Not only last year. I mean, just, obviously I go back to Brian until 1998. So, I've had the opportunity to coach Scott and watch him in that role. And, and also, Scott did a lot of administrative work also with his role as the assistant quarterback coach. So, I'd spent a lot of time with him outside of the quarterback room. So, I mean, obviously working the last, 3 years prior to this, Scott Tolzien was more than ready to step into his position today, and he's crushing. He's doing a phenomenal job. And I think Brian being here last year definitely just how things working and, him and I having a clear understanding of how we want the offense to look and operate. Very thankful that he was here last year because, I mean, I think that really helped, both him and I specifically went through the changes.
Jess.
Jess Barnes, PFN. Mike, can you talk about how fun it's been for you as a play caller to have 2 different running backs with 2 different running styles and all of the things you can really implement in your play calling?
Yeah, definitely. I mean, you have to have it. This is it's a long season. 17 games. To think running backs are going to touch the ball 20, 25 times. That's probably not realistic. So I think number one, you have to have it, and we've been very fortunate to have it with Zeke and Tony in the last 3 years, and then now to have it with Tony and Rico. So, and we got some young guys we love too. So very very fortunate with our running back room.
Garrett.
Mike, Stephon Gilmore's been covering number 1 receivers in the last couple teams you faced at age 33, 12th season. What kind of comparison of maybe another player have you seen in your career be defending at outside corner at this level at this stage of his career?
I mean, a number of them, but they're all great corners. I mean, I think that's what's so cool about watching Stephon, not only just to play at the level he's playing at, but to have this success at this point in his career too. I think that the earliest or the most recent would be Charles Woodson. I mean, Al Harris, played a lot of years. I was with Al at the end of his career. But I go back to my first job. We had Albert Lewis and Kevin Ross, and so when you have these unbelievable players that are playing at that level, at that position, I think it speaks volumes.
Todd.
Mike, go back to Aubrey for a second, not knowing what you know now, and games are usually close. And, was there any skepticism or reluctance on your part to say, you sure you want to go with a rookie kicker, maybe even before you got him and brought him in the building?
Yeah, I think all those conversations were. I mean, you talk about everything. I mean, you talk about all the every player, where they're coming from, their experience level, how he fits. But you can never not recognize the talent, and just, I thought that the personnel department did a nice job of, we had a group of kickers that they ranked, and, they had different thoughts and beliefs on, I think it's hard to rank a guy that hasn't kicked in the league versus a guy that has, and, and we were thorough with it, and I think the best thing we did clearly was make a quick decision in training camp, and that's where, sometimes when you operate too quickly, it could, it can bite you. But that was clearly the I think it's the best thing that we did, and it's a real credit to Brandon. I mean, he showed right away. I mean, just watching him, kick early in training camp, he just, his talent level is something that we all wanted to unleash and, make sure he got all the reps. And then I thought it was important, because I ain't lying, I was thinking more about Mason Crosby, in his first year. It was a conscious effort to give him kicks, early in the season. I think the first game of his career, he kicked the game winner against Philadelphia. So I was very conscientious of getting Brandon out there and giving him some kicks. So, and now I don't even think about it. So that's just a real credit to his performance.
Clarence.
Staying with Brandon, right now the wind is supposed to be 5 to 10 miles an hour. I don't know if it gets worse or
I hope
like
so.
that.
Yeah, I'll take it. Yeah.
How do you prepare for the wind? I mean, certainly it was windy last week when you weren't here, but is that the next step for him to?
Well, I mean, we get some windy days out here, and I mean, and I'll be honest with you, I don't know if there's a better training environment, just because you get different winds out here because of the swirling effect with the office buildings. So, I mean, and that's difficult. I mean, that's a difficult field to train on. But I know my past experiences, anytime you have a chance to kick in an outdoor stadium at different times of year, you take advantage of it. So, we take the same approach out here. So, because the wind's not always, I know most of our weather comes out of the west, but once it gets in, into this swirl here, you get different movements. So, he gets plenty of work there.
And David.
You mentioned Crosby a second ago. I know when you talked to us before his rookie season, you said there were some difficult things there where you really had to stay with him to keep him, and there was a lot of outside pressure as far as, well, why don't you have a veteran? Did you almost resign yourself to, well, I'm going to have these moments with Aubrey this year, and have you reached the point now where it's like, well, that's not going to be a...
Well, I mean, the difference that, today, and, this things, I guess, comes up every time we talk about player evaluation in training camp, you don't have the same amount of time. So I think, going back to, Todd's question, I think one of the best things we did was make it a quick decision, because the time was precious, and he was able to get majority of the training camp work, before we left Oxnard, and I think that really helped us, So, but yeah, I think just trusting the process, and obviously, I just can't give him enough credit, because I mean, he came in and he's crushed it. He's done a great job.
All right, thank you, Mike.
Thank you.